tag the game changers, bench the underperformers, because we are here to unleash your fantasy football victory for week 11 and into the playoffs. Because, yeah, we're here. We're very close to the playoffs, which means we are picking up guys not just for today, not just for week 11, but for the entire run so that we could take our friends out in our leagues, win them all, and have bragging rights forever. So let's get those game changers and let's get started with the very first one with a running back who I was all about in Houston. So the first person we're going to talk about is Devin Singletary, and he is 49.9% rostership percentage between ESPN and Yahoo leagues. And I tried to tell you in the offseason that Devin Singletary was going to take this job, and maybe you couldn't hold on long enough because your bench wasn't deep enough. But Dameon Pierce just isn't that guy. He's not efficient. He's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. And we have somebody like Devin Singletary, who is basically a spinning top, who loves to hit the juke button, who loves to hit the spin move before he even gets touched in Madden. The man breaks tackles. The issue is that he doesn't have the burst to get away after. But give me the guy who could break tackles in my offense, and I'll want to use him. If I'm an NFL coach, that's who I want, because he doesn't just get touched and put down. He gets touched, and he creates a little bit more for my offense, and that's what you want. And last week, not week 10, in week 9, he played 75% of the snaps with 15 touches, which he turned into 26 total yards, and everybody felt terrible. But yesterday, the big game, Sunday, well, whenever you're looking at this video, he had 150 yards on almost 30 touches. He had a couple of targets in the passing game. You can't, even if Dameon Pierce comes back, you can't just sit him. This needs to become 50-50 or even 60-40 with Devin Singletary, because he adds a wrinkle to your offense that Dameon Pierce just isn't giving you. He's not breaking those plays. He's not breaking those tackles. Devin Singletary is, and right now you have C.J. Stroud playing at a hellacious level, who's throwing the ball all over the yard, and we're going to talk about one of his wide receivers later, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But you have to make sure that you don't become one-dimensional, because you are fighting for a playoff spot. Unbelievably, somehow they are still in the picture. Who would have thought that with Houston, even after trading the first-round pick for Will Anderson? They're looking great. They're doing it right. And Devin Singletary is the way that they go from meh to pretty good and in the playoff picture. So they're going to keep using him, and you should have him on your team too. We're going to now move into another running back that I told you about in a couple videos ago that you need to get in Seattle. Okay, I told you to get Zach Charbonnet. I told you a few weeks ago to get him. You saw it happening. Kenneth Walker is losing carries to him because he's a little banged up, and he's only 38.2% rostership in the ESPN and Yahoo League. And what are we doing, people? Because with Walker banged up, Charbonnet has played at least 55% of the snaps in each game. He's averaging about 6 touches and about 38.5 total yards. But what it is about Charbonnet is his explosive, anytime he touches the ball ability. It just shows every single carry and attempt and target. He gets that ball and he adds electric to the field. And that is important for this team. They need that. Over the last 2 weeks, he has had a 22.2 explosive run rate and a 22% missed tackle force per attempt rate, and 4.33 yards after contact per attempt. So the man's getting yards anytime he gets touched. He's breaking tackles, and he's explosive. He's going to be put in the game. This is no longer Kenneth Walker at 80%, Zach Charbonnet at 20. Hell, I don't even know if it's 70-30. It is 55-45, and it might honestly be Zach Charbonnet with the 55, because like we talked about before, he's not a 1-down back, not a 2-down back. He is a 3-down back. He is somebody that can do it all for your team. So if Walker goes out, he's a league winner. If Walker's even in the game, he's still going to be used, and you need running back depth nowadays. That's what you need. We're getting into the playoffs. Running back depth means so much more now. You need to go out and get those guys, because at the end of the season, this is when they wear down. And the backups like Zach Charbonnet, who aren't even really backups, they're kind of in the whole mix anyway. Those are the guys you need for your team. But we're going to talk about another running back who has taken over from the RB3, who should be the RB2 on a playoff contending team, and you always want a running back on a good offense. Let's go over to the Baltimore Ravens. All right, Keaton Mitchell. I was wrong. I thought it was a one-game thing. He's only rostered in 35.2% of leagues right now, and it's wild because this last game in Week 10, he had not 1, not 2, but 3 touches. That's it. 3 total touches. That's all he had. But he had 1 touchdown and a reception for 32 yards. Mitchell has 200 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns in the team's last 2 games, despite only touching the ball 14 times. Now, you're not going to lose Gus Edwards. He is your north-south back. He's going to run it in. He's your goal line guy. That's what it is. But Justice Hill, take him out. He's done. We're done with Justice Hill. We've seen he's just another guy. And Keaton Mitchell has this Devon Achan style of speed that just like, we watched it all game. We watched Cleveland Browns like cornerbacks take an angle, think they have him, miss. Safety takes an angle, thinks they have him, miss. The dude is electric. And again, we just talked about this with electricity. If you can bring it to the team, you get put in the game plan. You're part of the scheme. And Keaton Mitchell is so damn fast that he needs to be a part of the scheme, especially for Todd Monken, who loves these pass catching running backs. He's going to be a part of it. If Keaton Mitchell is still out there, and he should be, like I said, 35.2% rostership, you need to go get him because he could be a league winner for you, like a Devon Achan Walmart version. Remember, early in the season, those were crazy games. Let's get that in the playoffs. And let's take our last guy. And this is a guy that I'm shocked to even be bringing up, but he's doing things in Houston. We're going to head back to the wide receiver core because this guy is important, but only with a caveat. So let's talk about him. So Noah Brown, big props to you, my friend, because you made me a lot of money in DFS this past couple weeks, and I appreciate that. But at 24.5% rostership in ESPN and Yahoo leagues, I'm just curious why more people aren't playing him. Nico Collins is dealing with injuries. You have Tank Dell, who has concussions. You have Robert Woods, who's had injuries, and he's a little bit older. Noah Brown has had 14 targets, 325 yards in these last two games, and he scored a touchdown. This is not a performance that you just say, like, thank you for your service, goodbye. He's going to get play time because he has gone out there. He has connected with CJ Stroud in a way that has just lit a fire under both of them. I mean, CJ Stroud is up there for like MVP right now, which is just insane. I never would have thought that happened. But you cannot forget about Noah Brown. And if people are willing to forget about him, which 24.5% rostership says they are, you can capitalize. So if you need a wide receiver, and you need to be able to play certain games where you're like, okay, I need a matchup to possibly win here, Noah Brown has that ability. And the only caveat is he's a flex play unless Nico, Robert Woods, Tank Dell, one of them misses the game. But right now, with the way CJ Stroud is playing, with the inefficiency that they have at the running game, even though Devin Singletary had a great game last week, all season long, they've been inefficient as a running team, and they've been passing at like the highest EPA of anybody in the NFL. Noah Brown's going to matter. Devin Singletary is going to matter. Keaton Mitchell is going to matter. And Zach Charbonnet is going to matter in the playoffs. So let's get them now to get ahead of our opponents and win not only in week 11, but the whole damn thing.